Hey everyone, my name is Simon Han. I am a writer based in Tulsa and the author of Nights When Nothing Happened, a novel coming out in November. I just want to thank Christine and Joel and the Philbrook for inviting me to be part of the creative distancing conversation. Hard to create anything right now, but I thought I'd share a writing exercise that's been helpful for me. I don't know about you, but facing the blank page has always been tough. I can't imagine how hard it must be for everyone now to sort of block out all of the distractions or the fears, or to somehow use that in your writing. Whatever it is, I think there are ways to make it a little easier on yourself. The first step, I think, is to just take it easy on yourself, right? Like, you don't have to churn out X number of pages every day. Take care of yourself first. But if you do want to write, I think it can be helpful to reframe what it means to face the blank page and think of writing not as like starting from scratch, starting from nothing, but as entering into a conversation with other writers, especially the writers before you and the writers in the books in your home, on your bookshelf or on your book stack thing. Look around you. Look at the books around you and imagine yourself having a conversation with them. One way you can do that is through this exercise. I thought I would demonstrate with 3 books here. These just happen to be 3 books that came out during the pandemic, and they're incredible books that I highly recommend. And what you do, you can take 3 to 5 of your own books. It can be completely at random, it doesn't matter. And you're going to flip to a page in each of these books. And again, it can be a random page. And you're going to read that page out loud, but not necessarily for meaning or for plot. You're going to read it with an attention to language, paying attention to the words and phrases that stand out to you. You may not even know sort of what context in which these words and phrases are speaking to, but if it's just sort of a strange word or a strange combination of words or something that just pulls you in for mysterious reasons, just mark it. And what's gonna happen at the end of that is you'll collect a pool of language that then you can draw from for the second part of this exercise. But I thought I'd demonstrate the first part by reading a page out of each of these books. And so the first one is Instructions for Seeing a Ghost, by a beautiful book of poetry by local poet Steve Bellin-Oka, also a Tulsa Artist Fellow. And as I read, just write down any words or phrases that stand out to you. Okay. 3 October fragments. 1. Those nights the wind began to rehearse its coming. Lake Michigan broiled, swallowed the jetties in a white receding spray. Inside, the windows of our house rattled, intermittent, trapped glass snakes. I couldn't sleep, and something primitive, only half heard, slithered from your dream's green mouth, another man's name. I rose and stood in the cold shadow of the doorway, watching your lips move in a whispered, frightening sleep. So, some things I marked, the word broiled, glass snakes, an image that would have never come to me had I not read this poem, and this is only a part of this poem. Half heard. You may have written down different words or phrases. Everyone's got a different relationship to the words they encounter, but just hold on to that list for now, and we'll keep adding to it. With the second book, How Much of These Hills is Gold by Zhang. It's a very lyrical retelling, or not retelling, reimagining of the Chinese workers involved in the California Gold Rush and the building of the Transcontinental Railroad, and it's a novel. So I'll read a page from that, or part of a page. Okay. And again, write down any words or phrases that stand out to you. Storm days. The sky opens after they leave the mountain man. Rain falls with such force that it explodes to white mist where it hits the earth, raising a boundary, a ragged call. Twice, Nellie steps into what seems mere puddle and sinks to her chest before leaping back. A slower horse would have drowned them. Buffalo bones provide the only firm ground. They stop for the night before a particularly large skeleton. Sam touches the skull first, as if asking permission. Then they crack the brittle ribs from the spine. Stacked together, the bones curve to sturdy cradles. So I'll stop there. Again, some of the phrases that I wrote, I marked: ragged call, mere puddle, buffalo bones, brittle ribs, sturdy cradles. So again, we're adding to our list of language. And then last book, Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore. It's set in West Texas during the 1970s oil boom. And it revolves around this act of violence. Again, it's another very lyrical novel. Poetry or fiction and prose that reads like poetry is often really good to use for this exercise, because you can sort of access language that in very surprising and wonderful ways. So I'll read a little bit from here. Let's see here. Okay. We stopped at Whataburger on our way back to the Holiday Inn. Amy watched cartoons while I threw up in the bathroom and waited for the cramping to pass. That hamburger didn't agree with me, I said when she knocked on the bathroom door. Just give me a few minutes. That afternoon, she swam and played the pinball machines while I sat on a lounge chair and drank a couple of salty dogs. Early the next morning, we headed up to the Sandia Mountains to smell the pine trees, piñons, spruce, fir, juniper. I close my eyes and imagine us living in a small wooden cottage, deep in a forest full of creatures without intent or malice, a place where you might get hurt, but not because anything meant to harm you. So for me, I wrote down salty dogs, spruce, juniper, forest full of creatures, Whataburger. You know, who knows? Like, I might have never thought about Whataburger, and just that word could launch me into something, right? So that's just an example of, you know, how you might use your books and how you might interact with the language. But now what you have is a list of language, right? And for the next step of the exercise, you're going to take one of those words or phrases that you wrote down and incorporate that into the first sentence of a short story or the first line of a poem, something that is all your own. But you use that piece of language to jumpstart you. And then you'll just keep writing. You let that language launch you forward. Try to write as fast as you can. Try not to pick up your pen. Try to keep your fingers moving at the keyboard. And then when you find yourself losing momentum and stopping, that's when you then go back to your pool of language. You draw another word or phrase from it. You incorporate that into your next sentence, and then you keep going. So you just repeat this process. You'll probably go back to your list at least, 5 or 6 times. And depending on how long it is that you're writing for. And you just keep doing that. And even though you're using someone else's words to inspire you, I think what you'll find is the thing you create is very much all your own. Of course, you're going to need to tweak it and edit it, but I hope that might prove inspiring for you to sort of enter into a conversation with the books in your own home. So yeah, try it out. Be curious to see what you come up with. So yeah, thanks again, and stay safe out there.